Morning, everyone. Thanks so much for sparing time from your morning to join us at the end of no doubt another busy week in the weird and wonderful world that we're living in. I likened this existence to slightly like Groundhog Day at the moment. And whilst the days are still challenging with work, they are somewhat monotonous when you're only looking at your same four walls. First, a little housekeeping, just in the interest of everybody's easy listening. You'll notice already that we've muted microphones of attendees. We may be able to lift that and change that at the end of the session, but we've got the Q&A box, which you'll see at the bottom of your screens. Please feel free to ask questions. We will invite questions more formally at the end of the presentation, and we'll welcome discussion with anyone that would find that beneficial. But in the interest of ensuring that we capture kind of your thoughts as we go through, conscious that, you know, things crop up as you're reviewing the content, and you've got something you want to ask and not forget, feel free, drop it in the chat box. We'll either make sure that we cover it in the content, or we'll answer it in the chat box, or we'll cover it off at the end. We'll ask the question and go from there. We'll also be offering the opportunity for you to give us some feedback at the end. Don't worry, that will be through a link to another form, and there'll also be an opportunity there for you to be able to request further information, a follow-up meeting, or anything you might find useful. So John's going to be my able assistant. John's delivering most of the content this morning, so he's going to flick through the slides for us. So John, if we could just move forward to the first slide, that would be great. Thanks. I'm going to assume that most of you are already familiar with Citrus Group and the companies that form that, and also the services that we provide, and that's what's led you to join us this morning through our sort of email marketing. So I won't waste too much time telling you things that you already know about us, but just very briefly, for those who aren't familiar with Citrus Training, of which Citrus Apprenticeships is a sub-brand. We're a market-leading provider of health and safety training and assessment services, principally to the built environment sector. Thanks, John. You'll be able to see on the next slide some statistics that will give you a bit of a flavour for the volume of courses that we're able to deliver, how wide our reach is, and a bit of confidence that we're already very experienced in delivering training services to the construction, utilities and allied sectors. We're very proud that we're currently working with 85 of the top 100 UK contractors, as well as able to serve many of the major utilities and infrastructure services providers. That's a mouthful. We've already we always pride ourselves on offering a consultative service and listening to our customers. So a couple of years ago, when we found that we were more than frequently being asked whether we could also support clients with a bit of people development and some soft skills training, and as to whether we would be planning to broaden our offer to encompass apprenticeships, we felt that we should go off and explore how we might be able to meet this requirement. We've also understood over the years that management and soft skills subjects are things that are frequently discussed training needs in the industries we serve, but there's very little in the market from our research that was available that was tailored or contextualized to reflect the interests and needs of certainly our target audience in the built environment arena. Thanks, John. So we saw an opportunity to move into the apprenticeship space, but we wanted to be able to deliver something really targeted and bespoke to meet the needs that we'd been hearing of. So as with all development projects that we embark on, we wouldn't have wished to start delivering something without ensuring that we had the skills and expertise to be able to effectively deliver on our new portfolio. So we went and set about recruiting a team of people who not only had experience in delivering funded qualifications, we needed to ensure that we understood compliance and all of the intricacies about apprenticeship levy, the new standards, funding requirements, but a team of people who had also worked in the industries of you, our clients, and who understand the gaps and challenges and the needs of potential apprentices and of course their employers. So I'm very pleased today to be joined by two of my colleagues who represent the team that we've recruited. and they have been developing very busily over the last 18 months to 2 years our new apprenticeship division. Danny and her team, who support our learners, manage them on their programs and guide our employers through the funding and levy claims. And John, who's one of our lead tutors. Delighted to say that both John and Danny, unlike myself, and their teams have been working in the apprenticeship space for over 15 years, and that they bring with them a huge wealth of knowledge. John and his colleagues in the delivery team are also people who have worked most of their careers in the construction sectors, and all of whom are either chartered or working towards membership of the Chartered Institute of Building. So we're already seeing and receiving feedback from our learners that they're benefiting from this very sector-specific knowledge that we have in our team. Next slide, thanks, John. I'm going to hand over to John and Danny shortly because they're going to talk to you much more in depth about what we believe to be a really unique and sector-specific qualification. But by way of introducing the products, I thought it'd be useful to explain a bit of the backdrop about what we've developed. So as I say, in consultation with clients, we established that there was a need, mainly at site level, for management training with some soft skills development. Some customers had already been telling us that they were using apprenticeship levy to address this need by popping candidates on non-sector specific ops manager or team leading and supervision apprenticeship standards, with their intention being to enhance these skills amongst the workforce. But we kept hearing that people were struggling to maintain the enthusiasm and engagement from the learners because they were saying that these programs weren't necessarily specific enough to the industry and didn't support progression towards either chartered industry status or a route to achieving a higher level CSCS card or NVQ. So the delivery team that we have set about to map the level 3 or level 4 construction site supervisor NVQ qualification against the level 3 team leading apprenticeship standard, and then conversely the level 6 construction site management NVQ against the level 5 operations or departmental manager apprenticeship standard. So what we hope through doing this was that our learners would be able to achieve the corresponding gold or black CSCS card, as well as a supervisor or management apprenticeship qualification. In addition to that, our level 5 apprentices will then have the option through additional professional skills workshop attendance, once they're through endpoint assessment, to be able to become CIOB or members or another membership, gain membership to another accredited organisation that's more relevant to them. And we know that this is something that many of our learners are striving to achieve as part of their career progression in the industry. We honestly believe that our products, through all of the feedback we've had so far and the research that we've conducted, we honestly believe that our products offer a unique blend of industry specific and soft skills development, and that we're addressing 2 specific needs under one apprenticeship program banner. All of our case studies, off-the-job activity tracking and coursework has been contextualised specifically for the built environment sector. Going croaky now, so it's just as well that I'm about to hand over to John, and he's now going to explain how we've achieved this, the tools that we're using, and a little bit more about the learner experience.
Lovely, thanks Charlie, thanks for that. Morning everybody, thanks for joining us today. Yeah, I'll briefly talk through this first slide. This the slide that you're currently seeing is the delivery model for our level 5. I'm not going to talk through every single week, but I'll just give you a little taster of what it means and how it's mapped, and also let you know that this one is based over 2 years, but the level 3 is only over 1 year. So we've got the same model there, and we can demonstrate that with you. But just for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to just talk about the level 5 one. So you'll see the weeks across the top there where we delivered certain parts of it. Week 1 to 6, you can see that we have a very intensive apprenticeship induction where we do the onboarding and talk to you about the platforms that we're going to use, and deliver some of the relevant NVQ units at that stage. The next box, week 7 to 19, as you'll see there, self-awareness is delivered in 2 parts. Each part would gain you 15 hours of your off-the-job training, because when we do the actual classroom delivery or the virtual classroom delivery, and then you'll be given some assignment work to do outside of the session that also counts as your on the off the job hours. And again, there it will tell you about the excuse me, I'm croaking a lot quicker than you were, Charlie. The relevant NVQ unit and how many hours you will need for that. The shadowing days, they're sort of bespoke to the company. I mean, you can see on here we've got 2 shadowing days in that month. And what that would mean was a bigger company might want their potential candidates to join another team, perhaps HR, marketing, quantity surveyors, programming, whichever teams they felt their candidates would benefit from shadowing. And again, those hours would be tracked and monitored as off the job, and so that we make sure we capture all the vital learning that the candidates have had within that period. And all of this is in preparation, getting them ready for that endpoint assessment that would come at the end of the whole program. So if there are any questions around this part, please pop them into the Q&A box and we'll answer them as we go if we can. Other than that, I'll move on from this slide. It's sort of self-explanatory, and you can see the different parts of the standard that we've mapped for the knowledge and the skill and behaviour within the standard and the NVQ. So I'll move on to the next slide. This is how we've tracked the 20% off the job. So you can see in our explicit hours and our implicit hours, you can see each part of that and what it means. So the delivery hours would be the 144 hours. And again, as I did this morning, I've got to move my colleague because I can't see that part of the presentation. So, and your normal CPD stuff that you would do within your organisation accounts for the 48 hours. Then the endpoint assessment exam presentation prep, I mean, that's us sort of helping you get ready for that, not the actual presentation itself, that doesn't count, but the actual preparation for does. So we would be helping you with that. And on the implicit, you got another 48 hours there of general update and company professional, the things that you as an organisation want for these candidates to have. It links in implicit hours. The average is about 15 hours per month on coursework, and across the 2 years, obviously that would add up to your 360 hours. Some may take more, but that we're saying that the average is going to be around that sort of time. Line management shadowing, the 2 days equate to the 96 hours. So wherever you would put them, they are required, and it could be, if you're a smaller organization, you might just put them with their line manager for all of that shadowing. But as I said, you could put them in whichever department you felt fitted best to get them the knowledge that you would like them to have. And then the tutor and management reviews, and there are lots of reviews. I think Danny goes into this a bit later in the presentation, but I think they're about every 12 weeks, you'd have a review with us, your employer, everybody that's associated with the candidate and the learner. And that's how we've sort of pulled in that 20% off the job. So there's sort of clearly maps, and the same thing has been done for the level 3 again, and we can discuss that at a later date with you if that's the program that you're interested in. Each time we have a cohort of learners, what we're doing, we're using SharePoint quite a lot through the Office 365 platform, and we create a specific page for them. And you'll see all around the screen that we're all looking at, you can see the different parts. There's links on the top right hand corner there, which takes you to what we think might be critical websites for you to use or share information from, and some tips, like there's a little ad hoc assessment there. If they click that, it takes them to how you do an ad hoc assessment on the OneFile platform that we're going to talk about soon. And then the folders beneath there, you've got the documents and where we would add learning resources and things like that. Each one of these come with some quite intensive course notes that Tim has written, with one of our colleagues within the team, and they're really good. They link directly to the standard. There's all the sort of theories and the information that you would need for your assignment, and some quite good information there linked directly back. And as you see, I've embedded some little videos in there. The top one being, how we practice our COVID to keep everybody safe within the Citrus Training Centre if they came to the centre for some training. So we embed little things on there. We also use this as part of our safeguarding, as a safeguarding link at the top, where people can communicate with our safeguarding team however they wish to. We also put some announcements and things on there, like if there are British values things or prevent or any specific news or things that we would like to talk to our candidates about, we can embed them within the page for them to see, discuss and find out from. So as I say, everyone will get that. It creates a group within itself. So it's quite useful for us as tutors. We can just send an email directly to that group. So they've all got the same information. They can use it as a discussion platform as well. So if they've got a query around one of the assignments or something that we've set, they could just post a question on here, and then one of our team can answer that question and just make sure that we've dealt with it or addressed it. Ready for their assignment work or whatever it is that they're working on. The first slide that we're looking at, this is OneFile, the platform that we use for our assignments, assessments, and basically that's a lot of VLE as well. It sort of does two jobs nowadays. The screen you're looking at is me as a centre manager, where there's two of us who operate this as the managers, and we can sort of create reports for you if there's a specific report you as an organisation would like, so that you can see, how often your candidates are logging on, how long they're on for, where they are on programme, whether or not they've got anything behind. It sort of tells you where they should be, what they haven't done, what they have done. And good news, good and bad news. If there's things that they're doing very well, it will be on there, for us to all look at, celebrate and discuss. The next screen, this is me as a learner. So John German is a learner. He's on lots of programs, as you can see at the very top there. The little speed dial, this is just a screenshot because we didn't want to take the risk of using the live platform for this webinar. We would rather do a screenshot and talk about each function within it. The little speedometer, basically, if I were to click that on the live portfolio, it would take me to all my evidence. It would take me to the things that I've done, the things that I need to do, and the whole journey so far. The calendar would hold anything that I've got to get done. As it's on the right side, you can see the tasks due. So John German has got one task due in this week, and then next week he's got 2 tasks. So if I was an employer looking at John, I could see that, I'd know where he is, what he's got to get done. And the upload evidence is quite obvious. You just click it and then you can drag anything into your portfolio that you wish. The tasks, which is yellow at the bottom there, is because I've got some tasks in there. So as a learner, if I click that box, it would take me to what my assessor has assigned for me to do as a task, to meet whichever part of the standard or NVQ that we need to get done. And messages, again, self-explanatory, is just an email message that I've received from my assessor. Could be, John, you've got a task, or John, don't forget you've got that task next week, or however we want to communicate from there. The left-hand side, you'll see lots of different links to different parts of the platform, but they're all sort of quite self-explanatory once you get into them. I'll move on to the next screen. This screen is your scorecards. Now, scorecards, we basically do them at induction. When we sign people up, they go on this first because all the outcomes will be there, the things that we're going to look at during the course, and they sort of monitor what they know about them so far. So it very much makes it sort of bespoke to the candidate, because some of them may come with a raft of knowledge over certain parts of it, but they may need a little bit more development on other parts. And this sort of creates that unique, personal assessment for learning, really, and does what we need it to do to monitor what you know so far. It sort of also measures your journey, because we'll revisit these later so that we can see the progression that our candidates are making during the program. Above there is a learning journal. Now, when you're doing your shadowing, this can happen ad hoc, although we've planned them, you know, they're going to happen within the organization whenever they fit best. So what our candidate would do is he would go into their journal, he or she would go into the journal and then add what they've actually done. So they may have done a day where they've shadowed their CEO, or they've shadowed the marketing team, and then they can reflect on what they've learned from that. And that may well have improved their scores within that part of the organization. It's really good for the behaviors within the standard. You know, we're working on skills, knowledge, and behavior, and the behavior things are often difficult to map how you've improved that. But the scorecard is a very strong tool for that purpose. Works very well. Forgive me while I look down, I'm just making sure that I haven't missed anything about each part of this. But please, as I can see people are, raise your questions and we'll try and answer them as we go. But yeah, so that's the scorecard and the journal part of the platform. This part is courses. Now, these two courses I wrote myself, and we embed them within one file. Now, they're really good for summative assessment. So during our sessions, we might be getting people to upload Word documents and do embedded forms within the resources that we've got on one file. But this is a nice little summative way of sort of showing them a little video, asking them some questions. We set the pass rate within there. So you could say, well, I want them to get 90% of this right before they're allowed to move on. So, you know, it's quite nice that you can build it like that, and you can make it subject specific to the go back to your scorecard. If someone needs to know a bit more about self-awareness or SWOT analysis, you know, that we can then embed it within these courses. Quite intuitive. They're good for when you do an online delivery, as we're all currently experiencing now. It's easy as a teacher for you to gradually watch your candidates fade into a comfortable seat that they're sitting in. But the use of these will bring it back to a focus point. So, you know, mid-session, we might then get them to do the SWOT analysis to make sure that they've listened so far, they've answered the questions, and then we can move on to the next part of the learning journey that we want to include within session. So that's the courses part of the one file platform. Yeah, this part, before I hit play, what we've got here, this is a little video that we've I copied. It's about the employer function within one file. There's so much stuff within it. It was easier for me to do this as a little video rather than talk over it and not have the interaction of the thing. So I'll just hit play, and hopefully that should work for us all. Yes.
Sorry, I've just unmuted myself. John, I don't have any sound, and a few of the participants have come on to say they can't hear it either. No audio.
Forgive me for 1 second. I just need to amend that.
Joys of technology.
Yeah. On, or I could select from however. I'll just take that back to the start. Sorry about that. Technical issue. Okay, I'm just going to do a short recording to demonstrate the functionality of one file as far as an employer is concerned. This on my login here, I'm logged in as an employer. So you'll see I've got some tabs on the left-hand side here that will take us to certain parts of the platform. But this first landing screen, the first screen that I would see, I could filter in here. I've only got one learner assigned to me as this employer, but you may have several cohorts. So you would break it down into your cohorts here. As I say, I've only got one. My learner on this cohort is called John German. So I can click John, or I could select from however many there were. So I could just see what that one person is doing. So I'll see the parts of the program that John is involved with here. So I can see all of his learning aims, and I can see the percentage that he's reached within each learning aim. I can see his teaching and learning and assessment plans, where they are and what he's done with them so far. There's lots of different program reports and things within here that I can pull out. I can see his BKSB scores, so it would monitor his English and maths, so I'd know where he was within those. I know I can also see on the on the right hand side here his current progress for each part. Each one of these percentages would take me directly to the unit. So for example, if we look at the operations, oh, excuse me, I just clicked the wrong button. If we look at the operations management that John is involved in, so operations, the standard, we can see that his progress is 36%. If I click that tab, it will take me to the actual units that John is working on or have completed and where he is. Just have to give my computer, it's a little bit slow at the moment. Yeah, so we can then scroll down and we can see where he is for each part. That he's at 100% for this part. We can see that he's 50% for these two units or these outcomes within that unit. And that's clearly demonstrated here. You can filter it. You can see what work he's done, which assignments. So there's a reflective account here, and there's a couple of assignments that he's linked to this piece of work to meet those outcomes. As I say, on the side here, we can see all the reports. So you can drill into the reports to find out whatever it is that you would like to see about your learner or learners, you know, their progress to date, their activity, if you wish to monitor how often they're going on and what they're doing whilst they're on. And you can build your own as so much reporting. And a major thing with OneFile, which is very good, is the support function. So if you click on the support tab on the left hand side there, it takes you to a host of little tutorials, little ideas. There's lots of YouTube clips to demonstrate how you do things, lots of guides, and lots of popular posts. You know, if somebody has repeatedly asked a certain question, they're very good at putting some training in place to be able to help us as users for that functionality within it. Stuff here. Just one little note that I wrote down here and missed on the last time. OneFile also comes with an app. So there's a nice little Android or Apple app that you can have on your phone. So whilst you're at work, you can capture live evidence, you know, photographic or video or whatever you want to do. And then you don't need to use your roaming data. Once you get home and connect to Wi-Fi, you synchronize your phone and it automatically uploads it all straight into OneFile. And that's a really quite a strong tool, quite a good tool. That I think this is the stage where the next slide hands over to you, Danny, I believe. Yeah. So I'd like to introduce you to Danny.
Thanks, John. Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Thanks again on behalf of the team here for joining us, and I hope you're all fit and well. So I'm just going to go through a bit of the learner and employer support that we offer here as part of the package. We pride ourselves in the amount of support we offer. We try to make life as easy as possible. We understand that everyone is very, very busy. So we start off with screening the applicants. So once we receive their application forms, they have an online or telephone interview with ourselves. And we go through quite a lot of depth within the programme just to make sure that we're getting the learners onto the right course. So we look at their existing skills and their existing knowledge. And as John mentioned earlier, we have the scorecard function as well, which really drills into the parts of the standard that the applicant will need some training and development on. So following the call with them and providing they're successful and they're eligible, they then get moved on to our induction program. And within this, it includes our safeguarding, prevent and British values. And we also go into functional skills if the learners need to undertake those as part of the program. Even if the learner doesn't need to undertake functional skills, we do still focus on English and maths because we believe that learners should be improving on these skills all the time. We use the induction program to go through OneFile. So the trainers, John himself, who's here with us today, are very experienced with the OneFile platform, as are my team. So we can provide additional support during that induction program. So the learners feel comfortable with how they're going to be uploading their work, and they're good to go after the induction and start sort of submitting and uploading their off-the-job hours. So we look at their training plan for each apprentice as well. So using that scorecard function and their initial sort of phone call that our team do with the learners. So we make sure that they've got that detailed training plan in place. And we include the employers as well in the initial screening, just so that we can get a feel from the employer as to what skills they feel their learners may need. And then once we've done this, we embed that into their OneFile platform and make sure that they are learning new skills and behaves to upskill them and not just teach them things that they already know. Part of the learning and off-the-job learning is quite a big factor within the apprenticeships, and we feel that having their regular reviews, we're able to look on OneFile to see where they're up to with their off-the-job hours. So if they are falling slightly behind, we've got the opportunity to then speak with the learner and their employer to look at ways in which we can build those hours up. So looking at CPD events, job shadowing opportunities, that sort of thing. So having that sort of overall visibility, not just ourselves, but you as the employer would be able to see, we can monitor and track that to ensure that they're getting those hours up ready for their endpoint assessment. As things sort of, these are all done, and the beauty of this is all done online, so we can sort of offer it support in between those sessions for the learners, so they don't feel that they've got a session every 4 weeks, for example, with their online class delivery, that they then have to wait another 4 weeks before they can speak to us. They can organise one-to-ones with us quite freely, with the beauty of having doing it over Teams or Zoom. Next slide, please, John. Thank you. So just as a little bit of added value from us here at Citrus Training, we're looking at supporting the safety and technical and compliance training. So because of our breadth of knowledge and the portfolio that we have within the built environment sector, we're able to add additional learning products which the apprentices may need to use within their job roles, such as the CITB Site Safety Plus SMSTS or Triple STS. So that's something that you could bear in mind if you have those additional training needs. And with our apprenticeship and CITB levy there, we have experienced team looking at funding for the apprenticeship levy, so we can look at ways in which you can best maximise that. And also we have a specialist team here that look after the CITB levy that are very experienced within that area as well, so you can call on us for support with that. Leading on to the CIB membership, at the end of the apprenticeship, so once the learners have sat and passed their endpoint assessment, we are putting on some workshops so that those that are wishing to become chartered with their relevant institute that they're affiliated to, they can go on and do that with our support. So it's just a nice little added extra there that we like to put in. And then lastly, bespoked and tailored learning packages. So we've had customers requesting specific company information to be included in their program. So we can put in some additional, we've already obviously got the standard set out as to what it is we want to deliver for the apprenticeship, along with the NVQ, but we can also look at putting in some additional delivery days so that we can meet your bespoke company requirements. So we're more than happy to sort of open up a conversation on that and find out what your needs are, and we can embed that to suit you. So that's my 2 slides, which were I think probably a lot quicker than both Charlie and John's, but obviously you've listened to us talking now for the last sort of 35 minutes, and I think what's really key is hearing from our apprentices themselves. So I'm now going to just, or John is going to click onto the next slide here, and here's some feedback from some of our current apprentices.
Wilson, work for Stepnell. I'm an assistant site manager, currently doing my level 5 in ops and department as a manager. This will benefit me in my career by gaining qualifications to go with my experience, and I'll hopefully be able to progress onto a more senior role in the future. The sign-up process was really easy with Citrus, straightforward, and the advice and guidance that you get was really good as well.
The reason why I choose this apprenticeship is that I like learning on the job rather than looking at the textbook, so I can apply my knowledge where I work. The second reason I apply for this apprenticeship is because it will give me the knowledge to process to a more, give me the knowledge to progress to a more senior role in the future, as well as enhance my management skills and techniques, which I think are vital for a successful career advancement in management.
My job title at the moment is a trainee site manager, and I am currently working to complete my level 3 NVQ in team leadership. I have chosen this apprenticeship course because it applied to me in every way, shape and form. I was on the tools since age 14, and this is where I grew my passion for construction.
The sign-up process was straightforward. I was contacted by Danny, who is the apprenticeship program manager, and then online meeting was scheduled. During the half-hour meeting, we discussed about my skills, studies, my current job role, my future goals, and why did I apply for the apprenticeship. We also talked about how we'll cope with the apprenticeship, the work, and work at the same time.
It's sometimes challenging to fit in extra work in and around my challenging role, but one fold does make it a lot easier to get the work done, and a lot of evidence naturally through meetings, toolbox talks, job shadowing, and just being out on site in general.
I find this apprenticeship very useful and informative, with a friendly yet professional approach and supportive assessors that are always there to help.
Would I recommend this course to others any day of the week? This is probably the best thing that has happened to me in a long time. I just feel so much more happier now. I'm motivated to actually get out of bed in the morning. This course has just opened my life up. It's opened me to new opportunities. I actually see where I want to get by the end of this. And yeah, I haven't got a bad word to say about it.
Right, that brings us to a conclusion of the slides, but we've had lots of good questions, the majority of which I'm sure are things that have been possibly in the minds of everybody attending. So team, I think we should probably pick up some of those. I think we've tried to answer people as we've gone along, but it'd be good to share quite a bit of that. Certainly I've been manning the Q&A, and I am far from the expert in this space. Danny and John will be much better able to answer your questions. So guys, if we just let me pose the questions and you guys can cover them off. We had a question about whether the sessions would all be done remotely and whether there was a chance of some face-to-face training and meeting with tutors. I can answer that one, just to say that obviously launching a new division during a global pandemic felt a little bit ambitious. However, we've actually found that it did us a favour because it's forced us to deliver an online version, which is obviously very flexible and meeting the needs of lots of people, and enables us to bring together learners from all over the country. That being said, we have had lots of learners and customers say that their audience would prefer a bit more face-to-face contact, and therefore absolutely once we're out of this awful existence, we very much intend to be able to deliver some face-to-face taught elements. In fact, John, you'll be able to cover that better, but there is, as part of the NVQ sign-off, the need to do some sort of observation anyway face-to-face, isn't there?
Yeah, so. Yeah. What it is when it comes to the NVQ, we plan to do some visits, just to capture anything that's missing closer to the end. One point I'd like to raise here about the online delivery. I mean, when I'm thinking about the level 3 group that I'm currently working with, I mean, we've got candidates central London, we've got them middle of the country, we've got them right down in Bristol. That's quite a unique thing to be able to do, and I think it's a real strength in the model that we're using. The I understand it would be nice to get everybody together, but when you think of all the traveling and the impact we'd have on the environment to do that nowadays, I think the online model works very well. But yes, we can visit, we can organise things either through Citrus at the head office, or we could come to wherever we need to do some delivery.
Or indeed one of our other regional training
Yeah, or the other
venues,
training
John.
centres, absolutely, yes.
One thing we had been planning to do was a sort of a northern group, a Midlands-based group, and a southern group prior to the world going to what it feels like. So definitely both options can be covered. Another one, would the shadowing for a department head be dependent on the department that they worked in, guys?
No, they can shadow any part of the organisation. It's, as I tried to get that when I was talking about that part, it is specific to the organisation. If they would like them to shadow just their line manager, because if that's the role that they're training this person to do in the future, that might be better fitted. But a big organisation might like their candidate to see each department, like your marketing, your programming, whatever, your quantity surveyors, engineering. There's lots of parts of it. Like young Zach, I mean, a very young candidate. His young knowledge is growing massively because of the shadowing opportunities that he's been given from his organisation.
Good stuff. Would I need any other qualifications in supervising or management to be able to take this course, i.e. previous experience?
No, in fact, the less experience, the better. We need to demonstrate that we're funding correctly in line with the government's rules, which do forever change. But one of the things is that we're upskilling and ensuring that learners haven't already got pre-existing experience or qualifications. A little bit of experience isn't too bad, which is why we do that scorecard at the start, so we can ascertain sort of the gaps and where people do need that development, and we can demonstrate that for the funding rules.
Good stuff. Somebody's currently working with another apprenticeship training provider, and their biggest frustration after the apprentices have completed their sectional units and AM1 and 2, I think that is, but we struggle to get final sign-off to achieve their NVQ level 3 qual approximately 6 to 12 months afterwards. How do we push for the completion of their apprenticeship, and what should be a realistic timeline?
And I can answer that. In our design model, the NVQ units that we direct, we direct these units within our delivery. So we'll give them briefings on the units that they're going to do over that next month or 2-week period, depending on which course they're on. And they wouldn't be able to progress to the next part without having that bit finished. The NVQ is the final part of the whole program. They're right in saying that is the end of it, but we wouldn't have them ready for endpoint assessment without all of these things. Because of the mapping, some of the knowledge that we're gaining for the standard is also built into the NVQ, hence the model. That's why we built it like that.
Good stuff. Do we have plans to create a telecoms apprenticeship for instance, telecoms field operatives or network cable installers? Team, I've shared that one of our largest clients is in that industry sector, and therefore it's very much on our radar to expand our offer outside of what we've piloted with construction to tap into other areas. The developmental needs of operatives and aspiring supervisors and managers across all of the industry sectors that we serve, which includes many utilities organisations, is similar. The need is similar, but we understand the need to tailor the content to better meet the needs of all potential apprentices. I think if you guys agree with that one.
Yeah, 100%. I think that what I'd like to add with that is that the model that we've got could go to any area, really. Although we've got it for construction, you can be a team leader. I mean, we could do it for Tesco's, we could do it for whoever wanted to come into our model. We can do either of them for any organization. Definitely telecommunications, perfectly. Yeah.
Great. Would this, Danny, you probably touched on this slightly, and I did cover it off in the chat, but a question about would this benefit an existing experienced contract manager who already held an industry accredited black manager's card, or would it be best for them simply to complete the level 6 NVQ? We want the query was regarding whether the apprenticeship route would be beneficial because of the funding it attracts, or whether it's really just suited to those who are new. To which I answered, it would still be worth us having a discussion and looking at the screening, Danny, I assume, because obviously ultimately the standard that we're delivering is around management skills.
Yes,
And that we've contextualized the industry. So you could be, and we have had candidates, I believe, but put forward who are very experienced in the industry and the construction or site work that they do, but that whom are probably slightly more lacking in their management, in their management skills. So there may well be some funding that we might be able to draw down and attract for that. A question similar to the telecoms one, civil engineering highways contractor, because the level 5 is aligned with CIOB, does it mean it's more relevant to buildings? But John, we've already got somebody looking to try and get professional accreditation, haven't we, with the Institute of Civil Engineers?
We're already looking into that one.
Lovely. Will the operations departmental manager qualification be available for a while? We think we've got a few ideal candidates, but they wouldn't be able to enrol for a few months.
That's
yes, absolutely fine for us. A question about whether there'd be an age limit? Absolutely not. We've got
We've got
a huge range of different candidates,
we've got
haven't we?
somebody who's recently turned 60 on programs, so
fantastic.
Any age.
When do you start? When do we start our apprenticeships? Is it September, like other schools? That's probably one of our unique points, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're very flexible in terms of our start dates. So currently we've got some start dates lined up for the end of March, and we can work around demand really as to when you need somebody to start. So you haven't got to wait months and months to get people onto program.
And we run a mixture, don't we, of in-company cohorts as well as, if to use our training language, public course type cohorts, whereby so we'll either have 10 to 12 learners from all different companies, or we're about to start a batch of 30 level 3 apprentices who are all from the same organisation. So they'll be broken down into 2 or 3 groups, won't they? And they'll study with their colleagues. If when you complete a level 5 apprenticeship and you come out with your gold or black CSCS card, anyway, what's the benefit of doing an apprenticeship instead of just the NVQ?
I would say it's the teaching and the softer skills that we're able to give you in becoming a team leader or a manager. So with the NVQ, you're just demonstrating that you can do the job, whereas the apprenticeship, it's a nationally recognised qualification. So you'll have 2 qualifications for the price of 1, really. And that, I think there was another question on funding, which we'll come on to in a second as well. But in terms, sorry, Charlie.
We're sort of developing, aren't we? Forgive me to interject. We're like developing the behind the role skills with this standard, aren't we? So more about the management techniques that people could apply then to any industry, to be honest.
Exactly.
Are these qualifications fully funded by the apprenticeship levy, and is there further funding available from CITB for attendance and completion?
So yes, they are. They're completely fully funded by the levy. We have funding available. We have our own contract. We're on the register of apprenticeship training providers, so we've got our own direct contract with the Skills Funding Agency. We can deliver to both levy and non-levy. So you can utilise the funds in that way. And then at the end, once the learners have completed their NVQ, you can also claim the CITB levy grant, which is £600 on top of that.
Is this course just for supervision or management skills? We have somebody who's interested in different types of apprenticeships, looking to move into plumbing or to be an electrician. The specific courses, I think the answer to that is that we've covered today are more for aspiring managers and supervisors, and it's around building that skill set. But one of the questions that if people scan the QR code and it takes them to the feedback form, they'll be able to input there any interest you've got in other types of apprenticeships that may be at different levels, or we've explored some site carpentry and bricklaying standards, haven't we, team? But what we are looking to do all the time is add value to what's not available in the market principally at the moment, I think team, rather than reinvent the existing wheel.
Yes.
I think from us as a delivery team as well, we've got such a broad construction knowledge and background. I mean, I'm a bricklayer myself, that's my trade. You know, obviously I've progressed through lots of different management things as we all have as a team, but we've got a really broad knowledge of all construction activity and trades.
Yeah, and indeed outside those regions as well with our wider team, haven't we, John?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
The apprenticeship CITB funded, I think, and can we cover costs generally, team? Danny, do you want to pick that up?
So they're not CITB funded because because we've tweaked them to match the construction industry with the plain sort of operations departmental manager standard and the team leading, which like John said before, we can deliver that in any organisation. So the CITB grant isn't available for the actual whole apprenticeship, it's just for the NVQ at the end.
But did you want to cover a little bit about the levy funding aspects, Danny, and what needs to be drawn down very briefly? We can pick it up more specifically if people request.
Of course. So the cost for the level 5 is £7,000. So that's what would come out of your levy pot per learner, and for the team leading, it's £4,500. So that's the maximum amount we can claim. Some people would probably add a bit more on top because we're doing that extra NVQ, but we're not charging extra for that. If you're a non-levy payer, you need to register with the apprenticeship service, and you can reserve funds for the levy funds, and you'd pay 5% of that that total cost, and then the government would top up the rest. So if you've got any sort of queries around the funding, I'm happy to have conversations with you all individually as to what your organisational needs are.
Perfect. But that's another thing that's probably quite unique about the offer. I think that we've heard, isn't it, guys, that with people are using the apprenticeship levy to also build the NVQ into delivery, because obviously that we understand that's quite a big chunk for you as the employers that's added on normally. From an employer point of view, we mentioned adding on courses such as Triple STS and SMSTS to make the programme bespoke to the company. Are these at an extra cost? And if so, are they reduced costs, and can any categories be added to the programme? The answer to that is any course that's relevant to your organisation that's within our portfolio and our areas of expertise can be built into the programme and counts towards the off-the-job hours and tracking. We do, because those products have an additional cost for us to deliver. Yes, there is an additional charge for things like an SMSTS, but you are right, yes, we do look to reduce the cost where we can, and obviously where we're building a specific package where you want to include other things, we would come up with a sort of a total programme of costs for you, but we would obviously take into consideration that you were doing a full qualification with us and regard these other courses as more top-up costs rather than it doesn't have to be completely separate. Some staff have Black Manager cards via grandfather rights, but we'll lose these going forward, so we'll need a qualification. Would they, I suppose the question there is whether they would be suitable candidates, team.
Yes, they would, definitely would. What happened was when the card scheme first came in, they gave you the option of taking grandfather rights. So if you'd practiced site management for a number of years, they allowed for you to claim your grandfather right. However, since then they've now said that, and quite rightly so, to continue in that role, you need to prove your eligibility. So in honesty, possibly the NVQ alone would be the best option, because if they're a practice manager, when they did their skill match, they'd already be good and competent at all them things. So the NVQ would be the route for them to take to be able to maintain their black card.
Good stuff. And do we offer any apprenticeship programs suitable for specific roofing activities where we can gain a skilled worker card at the end, or is it just for supervisor manager?
These are for supervisor manager, but if roofing is something that we needed to investigate, then by all means, yes, we would, and we could put a program together. Yes.
As we mentioned about some of the other
Yeah.
courses that we're looking at building into our offer moving forward.
Yeah.
We very much hope to grow our apprenticeship division.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've selected these two initially because our customers identified or helped us identify that these were two underrepresented subjects in the market currently. That's the end of the list of questions that have been shared there. Oh, sorry, we've got some in the actual chat box. Do we work with colleges? What funding opportunities are available? Danny, I think you probably...
as I said before, I've covered that off. I think just we've got our own direct contract for Levy and non-Levy,
And even when it comes to a functional skills need, we were looking at working with outside agencies to cover that element, weren't we? But in fact, we developed our own content for that. We felt that the candidates were much more comfortable with the usual tutor that they were working with, helping them through that, particularly because we understand it's a bit of an uncomfortable subject area for some of our apprentices. So John and his colleagues are also well versed in delivering functional skills training. And again, we're trying to contextualise that, aren't we, John, to the industry?
Yeah, we do. We do contextualise it and embed it within all delivery, as Danny touched on earlier. I mean, it's part of our Citrus ethos that we want to improve people's skills in functional computer skills, all of it. It's all embedded within, but we also use a platform called BKSB. So our candidates would do an initial assessment to identify where they are. They then do a detailed diagnostic that would identify their weaknesses. And then within our platform, we've got some specific learning materials that would be unique to that learner. So for example, my spelling is atrocious. So I know that when I do it, I would need some work on my spelling. So that would give that bespoke to me in preparation for the exam at the end.
Fantastic. Do we recruit the candidates, or would we need the employers to do that?
Danny, that's one for you, I think.
No, sorry, you just broke. Could you say that again, Charlie?
Oh, sorry, apologies. Do we recruit the candidates, or do we need the employers to do that?
We can assist with the recruiting of the candidates. That's not a problem. I've got quite a number of years experience in doing that with other training providers and FE colleges. So we can attract and help you do that via the Recruit and Apprentice website. Sometimes employers will come to us with their own candidates, and then we will obviously do our screening. So we won't just accept anybody onto the course, as we need to make sure that we're sort of following the funding rules and generating the funding for the right purposes. So yeah, that's absolutely something we can help you with.
To be fair to say that to date, we've probably had more people put forward who are in part of the existing workforce, and that our employers are looking to progress and upskill through the management route, haven't we? But yes, indeed, we've certainly looked at recruitment, haven't we, for one or two interested clients.
Yes.
We got any more? I think I think I'm at the end of the list. In which case, hopefully you can all see the QR code. You just need to scan that with your camera on a phone if you've got one handy, and that will take you through just a really short survey just to answer some questions about how you found it. But actually, you'll get the opportunity there to ask more questions or to request our team to give you a call back, which we'd love to do. Any more from the rest of the panel?
No, from me, thanks everybody for attending, and we maintained our attendance record right through to the end, which is I'm quite pleased with. As a lecturer, that's a big thing.
What are you trying to say, John? Are you,
no.
Always holding your candidates' attention?
Absolutely, but you need to monitor.
Perfect. Okay, thanks so much for joining us this morning. It's been really useful, and thank you also for your questions. It's really helped us sort of bring it to life a bit more. So very grateful, and we very much look forward to having further discussions with you all. I hope you all have a good rest of the day. I'd love to say enjoying your weekends, but for me, like most of us, I dare say that will consist of a nice walk outside without a trip to a local establishment for a gin and tonic or something, unfortunately. There we go. Anyway, stay safe, everybody, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.